Hello everyone, this is Kerry Jones at the National Weather Service in Albuquerque with a special weather briefing highlighting significant late season snow. We posted this briefing around 4:30 p.m. on Thursday. Here's a look at our confidence and potential impacts as it does relate to snowfall. Overall, pretty high confidence. Timing, initial impacts generally developing Friday night. However, the most critical period that we're watching will be during the day Saturday into Saturday evening. Significant improvement does kick in as early as Sunday morning. As far as the key impacts, significant snowfall, so we're talking better than a foot of snow possible for the northern mountains, the northeast highlands, and perhaps as far south as the central high plains, east slopes of the Sandia-Manzano Mountains. This will be likely a wet, slushy snow, and that will contribute to enhanced loading impacts, particularly for those lower elevation areas, say between 6,000 and 8,000 feet, where trees that have leafed out, for example, will certainly bear the brunt of that heavy, wet snow, and even several inches of that type of snow can have impacts. As far as our lowest confidence at this point, still snowfall totals in the Santa Fe metro area, Los Alamos, the east slopes of the Jemez Mountains. Could see significant snowfall in those areas, but confidence is just not quite as high as it is in other areas farther north. As I mentioned, the power outage due to the wet, heavy nature of the snow is certainly something that we have high confidence in. Blowing and drifting potential, certainly there's always that those impacts across northeastern New Mexico with any strong type of winter storm. But overall, again, the heavy wet nature of the snow will limit the potential for blowing and drifting for most areas. So let's look at some specific areas and impacts related to snowfall, significant snowfall, I should say. The areas highlighted on this map are most likely to experience significant snowfall impacts, and you can see by the shading there, our highest confidence does exist over the Sangre de Cristos, the adjacent east slopes, the northeast highlands, and that does include I-25 from Glorieta up to Raton Pass, where impacts could be major. As we go south and then farther east of that area, you can see our confidence is not quite as high, but nonetheless, anywhere shaded on this map could see significant snowfall, and that does include areas as far south as Klein's Corners, the Central High Plains, as I mentioned, the east slopes of the Sandia and Manzano Mountains, and there perhaps even some areas, isolated areas out near the Continental Divide could see some impacts with snowfall even during the day Saturday. As I mentioned, wet and heavy snow is a high confidence that that's what we're going to be dealing with, and we want everyone to focus on areas, not so much the exact amounts. The image on the right is the latest snowfall projection, and that does include 8 to 12 inches for places like Las Vegas, up to Wagon Mound, Springer, Raton. And then, of course, as you get to the east slopes of the Sangre de Cristos, and even in the high elevation areas, we could be talking perhaps a foot and a half or more of wet, heavy snowfall. Clayton, the far northeast plains, definitely in that potential for seeing better than 8 inches of snow. And then as you head south to the I-40 corridor near Klein's Corners and extending west towards the east slopes of the Sandias, those areas could be significantly impacted as well. So overall, we're looking at accumulating snowfall beginning likely during the day Friday, but any impacts will be relegated to the highest terrain. It's not until we get to Friday night, when the colder air arrives from the northwest, that we'll see snow levels lower and snow broadly expand and increase in coverage, as well as intensity over western and northern areas of the state. The focus for significant snow will shift into the Sangre de Cristos, the Sandia-Manzano Mountains, the Central Highlands, northeast New Mexico during the day Saturday. Northerly winds could gust as high as 45 miles an hour, and that certainly will create areas of reduced visibilities and blowing and drifting snow. As far as travel impacts, we're mainly focused on I-25 between Glorieta and Raton Pass, as well as U.S. Highway 6487 between Raton and Clayton, as well as Interstate 40 between Tijeras and out to, say, Santa Rosa, if not a little bit farther east. And so this would include Clients Corners, of course, and impacts on these major travel corridors could be significant during this period. I'd like to also mention that we have a separate video highlighting temperature impacts for the weekend, with many areas expected to see hard freeze conditions. Thanks again for joining us, and have a great rest of your day.